How about a vocabulary and use lesson where I'm going to show you 5 idioms with the word color? This lesson is ideal for students at a B2 and C1 level, so stay with me until the end, and I even prepared a nice exercise I'll show you at the end of the lesson. If you don't know me very well, I am teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. I appreciate if you subscribe because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker, and vocabulary is part of the journey. You gotta learn vocabulary, and I get it, guys. At an intermediate level, if you're watching this video, you are probably at a pre-intermediate level, intermediate level. So at this level, it is so important to focus on quality, not on quantity. Because sometimes the students, because they think, oh, it is intermediate, I'm going to be advanced, I want to advance, therefore I need to learn many different words, many idioms, many expressions, phrasal verbs. And that's not how it works. You need contextualization. That's a very important word if you are an intermediate learner trying to advance. So at this level, you really need to focus on the quality. With the students in my academy, for example, I have an online program, my academy, to go from stuck to speaking in 6 months. They have a lot of vocabulary. In every lesson, they have vocabulary. Sometimes we have live workshops about vocabulary. But I always tell them, hey, focus on context. Focus on picking the words that get your attention and connect the examples with your life. When you add this kind of contextualization, it gets easier for the brain to absorb that word. That's very important. So here I will show you 5. Pick your favorite one, maybe 2, and post 1 or 2 examples in the comments while connecting the examples with your life. That's context. And when you do that, it gets easier to remember. Now, that being said, let's take a look at the first one. To show one's true colors. Do you wonder if that is a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if you show your true colors, you are showing who you really are, your true nature. Why? Tell him that is human nature. You're showing your true character, who you really are. But keep in mind that when I use this expression, this idiom, and I am revealing a person's true character, it is usually a bad thing. So I am finding out this really negative side of you, the real you, which is not good, okay? So I'm showing you your true personality. You are revealing, you are showing your true character, especially when it's not good, especially after pretending for such a long time that you were a good person, but you're not. So look at the examples. Oh, I'll never trust Peter again. He's finally shown his true colors. I'm using present perfect here, okay? He's finally shown, okay? He's finally showing. I can also use present continuous. Oh, he's finally showing his true colors. I'll never trust him again. Now, Priscilla, can you give me more context? What is he showing? Well, a bad characteristic in his personality. Maybe I thought he was dependable and, trustworthy, but with his behaviors, with his actions, he actually showed that his true colors, his real essence is actually the opposite. He's not dependable, he's not trustworthy, he's a liar, he's manipulative. So by his actions, I am noticing his true colors. Another example, Linda showed her true colors when she yelled at the cleaning lady in front of the entire department. So let's picture this. Linda, always the polite, nice lady. But then all of a sudden, we see her yelling, we hear her yelling at the cleaning lady in front of everybody. That's awful. But there, she showed her true color. She's not a nice person. She's a bad person. Do you know anyone like that? Have you ever been surprised by someone's true colors? Let me know in the comments. Let's go to the next one. with flying colors. Oh, I love this one. Flying colors. If you do something with flying colors, especially pass, very common collocation. One thing that I teach my students in my academy, acceleration program, all my courses, okay? I have different courses, but I always try to teach students that some words go really well together. So with flying colors, with the idiom flying colors, pass, the verb pass is very common. They are common cousins, common collocation. It's a very nice combination. So with flying colors, if you do something such as pass an exam with flying colors, you did it really well, successfully. I'm not saying that you got like a 10, 100% accurate. I'm not saying that it was perfection, but it was amazing. You did really well. You did it successfully. You managed. You pulled it off nicely. Good for you. And it's very common when we're talking about exams, tests, school tests, driving tests. So look at the example I posted here. I did it. I passed my driving test with flying colors. This is actually true about me. I remember that years ago, I got my driver's license and I was so nervous. And I was so nervous that I practiced a lot. Okay, I practiced a lot. I remember my father didn't have a car and neither did I. So I asked for my friend's car to practice. So he would drive with me in town, so that I could practice. And then we would go to a calm street so that I could practice parallel parking. And I practiced so much that on the day of the test, I passed it with flying colors. Now let's move on to the next one. To feel off color. Now, disclaimer here. This is really common in British English, okay? Can you say this with, can you use this idiom to talk to Americans? Yes, you can, okay? But this is pretty popular with British. And on top of that, there may be other translations and not really good ones, okay? So this is one. The other translation is not really nice, okay? But this is a possible meaning, which is to feel a little sick. Not very sick, a little, slightly. So if you're really sick, like really, dying, don't use this one. That's not appropriate. To feel is slightly, a little sick. So you're feeling off color, okay? And you can even add a bit, a little, a bit off color. Very common combination, okay? So I'm staying home tonight because I'm feeling a bit of color. I'm feeling a bit of color. Very common combination, okay? Now, guys, before I show you the other ones, if possible, share this video with a friend. I imagine that someone will benefit from watching this lesson, learning these idioms, doing the exercise I'm going to post very soon. I'm going to share with you here on the screen. So make sure to share this with a friend and perhaps subscribe to the channel. More than 60% of people who watch my lessons are not subscribed. Come on, guys. Help me out. And if you're interested, I have an amazing study plan that shows you with video lessons, exercises, a template of how to study successfully so that you can achieve English fluency with flying colors. Make sure to check it out, link in the description. But let's keep rolling. Number 4, give color to. Very interesting, okay? To give color to something means to embellish or to exaggerate, okay? To exaggerate something so that you give the appearance of truth, so that you can give more credibility, so that you can give more plausibility, so that it looks more realistic. So you give color to something, to a piece of information, so that it can look more realistic, so that people can believe it more. Look at the example. He splashed intentionally. He splashed mud all over his car and clothes to give color to his story about being in the mountains a weekend. So let's contextualize. Peter. He was not in the mountains last weekend. He was doing something else. But he created a story, and to give color to this story, to make it more plausible, he splashed mud all over his car. Now, that man is determined. Do you know anyone like this? Do you know do you know anyone who will go above and beyond to making sure their story is plausible? I know a few people, and that's not very nice. And then the other one, before I show the exercises, I think you're going to like the exercise, and I hope to see your answers in the comments. That's a horse of a different color. Guys, I have a story with this one. Oh, it's a different color or another color, but a different color is more popular, okay? Whenever I create these lessons, I don't simply come here and, 5 idioms. No, I do a lot of diligent work, okay? I check for examples. I watch movie scenes, a lot of movie scenes that are websites we can find movie scenes with specific words and vocabulary. I pay one so that I can have full access to their entire repertoire, to their entire data and lots of video. There are lots and thousands and thousands of videos. So whenever I pick these idioms, whenever I create the examples, I always make sure to create something as realistic as possible, as close to what native speakers say. So it takes me a lot of time to prepare them to make sure that I don't just give you a book example, a dictionary example. I always base the examples on dictionaries or movies, TV shows. I really enjoy taking the time to create examples that will help you understand more easily and also bring you expressions that are popular. But I remember this one in particular because when I was young and I was learning expressions, I was already a teacher, but I was beginning my journey. I learned this expression, this idiom, and I couldn't shut up. Every time I had an opportunity, I used this expression. Aline, my best friend from that time until today, Aline, that's a horse of another color. That's a horse of another color. I couldn't shut up about this expression. It was annoying, okay? So I'll never forget this one. Now, that's a horse of a different color means that's completely different. That's a completely different thing. That's a whole different story. These expressions I just said, these phrases, they're not really expressions. These phrases I said are more popular, okay? They are more conversational. That's a completely different story. That's a whole different story. To be very honest, they are more popular. But that's a horse of different color. We'll add more color to your English, okay? Add more color is a little different. The explanation is a little different. It'll embellish, really embellish. It'll add more life, more detail to your communication. So I recommend every once in a while to use this expression, okay? So failing the test, look at this. Failing the test is one thing. But getting caught cheating, that's a horse of a different color. So one thing is to fail a test. That's okay. But getting caught cheating? Girl, that's a horse of a different color. That's a completely different story. That's a whole different story. That's the idea of this idiom. This is my favorite, okay? That's actually my favorite. I want to know, what's your favorite? Idiom 1, idiom 2, 3, 4, what's your favorite? Tell me here in the chat, okay? I want to know. What's your favorite idiom? Now, guys, I did prepare an exercise. And the exercise may look simple. With my students, because you're not a student in my academy, my program, with my students, I do different exercises, okay? With my students, I want them to create because fluent people create. So I want them to form a sentence or a short dialogue so that I can correct, so that I can check if they are using that idiom, expression, phrasal verb correctly. Now here, it wouldn't be possible for me to correct everyone, okay? So my recommendation is, and this video is going to be here forever, right? As long as YouTube exists. So I came up with 10 phrases, okay? There are 10 phrases here. I'm not feeling good today, so I'm afraid you have to go running by yourself. Based on the 5 idioms I gave to you in this lesson, you are going to rewrite these sentences and use the idioms I gave. There may be some changes in the original sentence. You may need to make some changes. That's okay. but you need to pick the right idiom to use and adjust the phrase. You will need to make adjustments, remove some words so that you can add the idiom, maybe conjugation. So you need to adapt a little, not just put, oh, hearts of a different color. No, where do you put it? So analyze that, okay? So I'm going to read the phrases so that you have time, maybe take a screenshot, okay? And do this exercise and post the answers in the comments. Number 1, I'm not feeling good today, so I'm afraid you'll have to go running by yourself. Number 2, the witness testimony supported the police's theory of the crime. 3, a small disagreement is one thing, but threatening someone, that's way different. 4, I thought Alice was my friend, but she showed me who she really was. 5, did you hear the news? Allison passed the bar exam successfully. 6, being late is one thing, but lying about why you were late? That's a whole different story. Linda was feeling a bit ill, so she cut off the meeting. Number 8, if you want people to show who they really are, tell them a hot gossip. 9, the text messages made her suspicion seem justified. Number 10, I'm sure you will pass the math test. Don't worry about it. There you have it. So do this exercise. I know you're going to like it. It is a very good exercise for the brain. I recommend writing physically because writing really works on your right side of the brain. I've been studying a lot about the right and left side of the brain, and the more you write, the more you exercise the right side of the brain, which is the creative side of the brain. And the more you activate the creative part of your brain, the more you learn. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Make sure to share it with a friend. But other than that, I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Bye-bye.